G'day friends and foes, Arjay here with Arjay's This Is Not Legal Advice. This is episode 114 and it is Will I Get a Fine today? So I'm currently in Logan, which is the city just south of Brisbane, and there is a lockdown. It's going to be really windy, but there is a lockdown in Greater Brisbane, Logan City, Redland Bay, Moreton Bay region and Ipswich. I'll just try and go behind a tree so it's not too windy, hopefully. Maybe. Which way is the wind? That made it worse, I think. Is it too noisy with the wind? So anyway, spoiling my joke a little bit, having this wind, I've decided to wear a mask. And as you see, there's a police station over there, and I'm going to be doing some exercising whilst I'm protesting. So they don't specify what type of mask you have to wear, but you have to wear a mask, even if you're driving your car, which is just ridiculous. But obviously, you know, anyone can spin anything into being seemingly legitimate reasons, i.e., well, if you're in your car and you cough on your steering wheel, and then you go out and, you know, you pick something up off the shelf, then that won't be good with COVID around. So just come over here first, and I'm going to walk past the police station a few times. But like I said, and even in this mask, it's very hard to breathe. Just make sure I avoid filming other people where unnecessary. But just wait a second. Person to walk past. So I don't even know the name of this park, but here I am. So they've got a little billboard there, it doesn't say the name of the park. But anyway, so I'm wearing my mask and I'm going to be walking past the police station several times. This is my mask. They don't specify what mask to wear, so let's see what happens. Then I'll walk back, or flip the camera back. Let's see what we can find out about this park as well. And even with this mask, it's very, very hard to breathe. So this is Logan Gardens, and we are here. Already with this mask, you know, I'm like that little emotion icon. So the idea is to get a fine for not wearing a mask, even though I am wearing a mask, but to see what happens then. Well, it even looks like the police station's actually closed. Anyway, I'll walk past it a couple of times, and if not, I will switch locations. Surely they'll think, what's this Wally doing with a zombie mask? But, you know, walking around like a zombie wearing a mask. Not actually physically walking like a zombie, but, you know, we're all being told we have to be zombies and comply, despite the fact that the masks do nothing to prevent COVID. By nothing, you know, it might be a 0.00001% reduction in something, but maybe not. There's a police station. At least their gate's closed. So that's protective services apparently next door. But it also doesn't help that this mask is blowing around. But I'm doing some exercise because I was getting tired in driving the car and I had to drive through the area. And, you know, we'll see what happens. Be helpful if there are more police out and about though, if that station is open, and it'll be a bit rough if I go through the, you know, if I entered the station, then that would be a bit silly with the mask on. I'd probably get myself shot or something. I'll be like, zombies attacking us. So anyway, I'll do laps back and forth. Hopefully that annoys some police officer who then says, what the hell are you doing? So anyway, how is everyone? So I'll just open a mouth hole so I can breathe and so I can talk better. And I'm just doing laps in front of the police station. And can't really see who's on. Looks like maybe Belinda's on from the little icon. And I can't really see the other icon clearly in this light because it's not a picture of someone's face. There's a police officer. Will I get in trouble? They looked at me funny. Try and see in the reflection if something happens. The reflection of the phone. We've got cute little pictures. Little girl. And yeah, I can't see where the police car went, so the driver lady did look at me rather peculiarly, or whatever way you want to describe it. There's Logan Gardens, and so the point of the exercise today, Belinda, is to get a fine for supposedly not wearing a mask. I do have a mask on, which I'll show you. If I can reverse the camera. So they don't specify what type of mask, for one, and for two, if I get a fine for not wearing a mask, e.g. like a surgical mask, in which case why would you wear a surgical mask if you're not doing surgery, then I can challenge it in court without having to wait until the middle of this year, when my current COVID court case may well have directions made by the district court. So I currently have my COVID court case in the Court of Appeal, which is the Supreme Court's appellate jurisdiction. So if you appeal from the district court or from the Supreme Court's trial division, you go to the Court of Appeal, and then they are only going to deal with it as a strict appeal, i.e. asking the question, did the district court have jurisdiction to hear an appeal from the magistrate's court in regards to the Peaceful Assembly Act, which is basically the protesting act in Queensland. And I'll just lift the mask up for a second. I can't breathe even though it's got giant holes in it. But then if I win that, which won't be heard until the 24th of March in the Supreme Court, then it will, if I'm successful with that, would be sent back down to the district court, and then the district court may well make directions as to the validity of COVID directions. So if I annoy the police, they're like, why the hell's there some twat wearing a zombie mask walking back and forth, then that may well initiate them fining me. And of course, I'm not here to be a jerk to police or anything like that, but obviously I can't be like, sorry officer, otherwise that defeats the purpose. So the idea is to get a fine and be able to challenge it in court quickly. So Belinda says, good luck and avoid contact they won't be happy to have another challenge today. It's Sunday, their day off. Yeah, so the point is to simply just get a fine for not wearing a so-called mask, but I have a mask on, so, you know, that's another argument in court. They don't specify what type of mask. And, you know, hopefully get these illegal, unlawful directions overturned. So, otherwise, the alternative, of course, is that governments, even if this current government's such a lovely government and so benevolent, then, you know, future governments can use it as a precedent to just say, hey, everyone's locked down. And that's not very helpful, is it? So hopefully this works. If it doesn't, then, you know, then I get a fine out of it. But this police station's not very active. There was the one police car with 2 officers in there driving past, and the driver one was looking like crazy eyes, like what the hell's this person doing? But yeah, Demetra says this government can go far away. Yeah, so you can take that how you will for that comment. I'm just trying to look if there's any other police cars or anything like that coming up, and if not, then I have to do another lap and just wait till a person runs past. G'day. So I already went to IKEA today without a mask. I wasn't being a jerk or anything, and, you know, we're allowed to be in IKEA at Logan, or is it technically IKEA Logan? No, it's some suburb that's part of Logan. So anyway, so I put my mask back on and walked past the police station again, and, you know, maybe do it 3 times, 4 times, and then if not, try and find a busier police station that's not in a little dead-end street with a little park around. And I assume there's no police in the park, like, you know, checking that people exercising have their mask on or something like that. There was just a gentleman ran past who's wearing a mask when he's running past, but that's not very helpful for his own breathing, I suggest. But, you know, maybe he's got super lungs and he can, you know, exercise with the cloth mask. This old mask I got in the Newcastle show many years ago. It's got a giant hole in the mouth, and it's still hard to breathe with it. But that's okay, Demetra. She said, I wish I had your strength. You know, the point of, well, part of the point of what I'm doing is to show people that, hey, look, you can go out and hopefully bad things don't happen. You know, and if they do, you know, maybe the police break my arms or dislocate my shoulders or something. I did hear a story, I don't know if it's true or not, but I assume so, that for the little protest yesterday in the botanical gardens, that some older gentleman had his arms nearly popped out by police. Apparently he basically went to the botanical gardens and then said that he pulled up. This is my recollection of it, of his story that I read earlier today. And then there was like a, you know, NBN or Channel 7, whatever, camera crew, and they started filming, and then a police car pulled up, or something like that. As I said, this is paraphrased. And then when the police got out, they asked him what he was doing. He said, I'm going to attend the Patriots Roll protest. And the police apparently told him, no, you're not. And he said, yes, I am. You can't tell me what to do. So then they arrested him. He got about a $1,300 or $1,400 fine. And apparently they stuck him in a police station for a long time. They demanded he wore a mask. He refused. So they, you know, punished him, apparently, by keeping him there longer. He finally buzzed after he was there for about an hour and asked for some water, and then a lady officer went in there and then gave him some water, and then sometime later he got a second cup of water after he was demanding to know how long until he'll be released. And then Basically, she whispered to him it won't be long, and then he got released half an hour later. The police allegedly did not allow him to pay for his parking when he pulled up, but luckily he didn't get a fine, he said. And they also threw his keys on the ground, that kind of thing. Probably, like, I don't know, but perhaps hoping that it would, you know, smash his keys so they wouldn't work or something like that. Just say if it had like a push button alarm or whatever, which isn't very helpful. So I just walked past the police station again. It is very hard to breathe anyway, but I'll put my mask back on soon and probably have muffled voice when I speak like that, but I'll hold the mouth hole open. And Belinda says it's not healthy exercising with a mask on, it's an unregulated stress test. Indeed. So even with stress tests, I've done a cardio stress test before that didn't involve masks, but basically, you know, they wire you up and they have medical staff there to help you if you need it. And then you like go on a treadmill, and then they'll increase the speed and increase the elevation of the treadmill, that kind of thing. And they've got people there in case you collapse, in case you fall. And often it's done, maybe it's always done in hospitals, because that way they have medical staff on hand to be able to help. So anyway, I don't want the video to be too boring, especially if there is another police station where they've got more traffic in terms of the police themselves and also foot traffic. Or maybe it's better to go not on a Sunday, or another police, more police are coming. Just so I put my mask on. So there's more police coming, and hopefully I get a fine. Two plainclothes officers just looked at me again, funny. So I won't aim the camera at their car when it's an unmarked car, but you know, see what happens. Can you even understand me when I'm speaking with this mask on, or not really? Just walking back and forth again. It's quite a nice day, you know, bit of sun, bit of cloud, get some nice sunset soon. There's police station again. I lift my mask up when the police aren't going by, but there's another person that just left the police station, so maybe they're an officer too. But when the lockdown started, I also I walked past the headquarters in Brisbane of, you know, Queensland Police, Roma Street, 200 Roma Street, and I saw 4 police officers on the ground, as in, you know, foot soldiers, not in their car or whatever. They didn't do anything against myself. Then also I saw a police officer follow me into the Woolworths along, can't even think of the name of the street, one of the main streets. It's like if you're on Roma Street, you turn right and they have like Magistrates Court across the road from there. It's like a little Woolworths in in an old-fashioned shop. It's not like a big giant one. And just looking at comments. Yeah, so Belinda says, I've seen video of a man being murdered by police and paramedics in the streets. He was just walking home from the shops. And Demetra says, disgusting creatures. Of course, anyone that murders people are disgusting. And, you know, it's evil. And of course, murder is not the same thing as like self-defense or whatever. That's a completely different category, but still. Anyway, maybe I'll just walk past this police station one more time, both directions, and then go find somewhere else. But going back to when the lockdown first started, which was Friday at 6 p.m, as I said, there were 4 police officers across the road, speaking to a young Asiatic gentleman who, I don't think he had a mask on, so I think they were, giving him a warning or fine or something. Then they were on the other side of the road though, and then I went into the Woolworths and was followed by a police officer. You could tell from his pants and his boots, and perhaps a lady in the car there's dobbing me in, so that'll be helpful. And then he followed me out of the police station, went on his radio or phone, I forget which. It was TINLA episode 113A and B. It actually paused when I had to use my phone as a like tap and go thing. And then also then I crossed the road to where I saw the 4 police officers on foot, and those officers weren't there anymore. And then I later saw a police car with some police in it, and they just drove past me and left me to my own devices too. And I can't just walk past the police station 50 times, even though it's a headquarters, and it was a weekday, so I imagine that they would have more police there than perhaps today. Besides, I'm sure you've still got detectives and whatever doing their very important work of solving crimes, and some limited amount of plainclothes police. But, how hard is it for someone to get a fine when they want a fine, and not for wanting a fine for the sake of it, but because then, it can be challenged in court with standing. So a lot of people on here have seen my previous videos where I talk about standing. Basically, in court and with court cases, you have to be affected by something more so than any other Tom, Dick and Harry. Just wait, there's police coming. So I just have to make sure I have my mask on while the police are going past. And then maybe they'll have a chat to me. But yeah, it makes it hard to breathe, even with the giant hole, and when I'm walking. So anyway, then, so I was talking about standing. So basically, a good example of that is there are a lot of court cases in the USA. The USA is a common law jurisdiction, just the same as Australia is, despite you hear people that don't know what they're talking about really, claiming or repeating claims that, Australia's under maritime admiralty jurisdiction, and it's civil law, and, the Pope really runs Australia. And even though, apparently there is a lot of dodgy things happening with the Catholic Church in Australia, but that's a different thing. But they claim, hey, look, we've actually got ecclesiastical law in Australia that runs everything and whatever. That is all garbage. Just quickly looking at the comments. Yeah, so Vicky points out there's 2 sides of the story. True, but I was saying about generally that, self-defense isn't the same as someone murdering someone. Then Demetra alleges that police destroyed her son's life, and Belinda alleges the same thing. They know you'll win, that's why you're not a good example for them to use. Yeah, so that's my theory, that even if I get pulled over, that, they pull out their little computer, and if they're careful, they probably have a note on there, hey, look, this douchebag claims that COVID directions in Queensland are unlawful, so, don't fine him. But obviously, if someone was like that and they were being a a-hole, then they'd just fine you for something else, which is not directly COVID related. And then Belinda says, watch out for the blue gloves, it's so fingerprints aren't identified. I don't know exactly what that refers to, but that's fine, you can explain that, elaborate if you like, Belinda. And anyway, maybe I'll walk twice more just because there are a couple more police cars went by or whatever. So, as I said, it's quite a nice day. You can do some cloud watching. Just aim up. What's that look like? A stingray or something? Doesn't look so much like it on the phone camera, but anyway, there are people waiting for me too, so I don't want to annoy them too much. But anyway, so just walk back here and then back again. Now, it would be helpful if they just hurried up and just find me, and then we could see who's right in court. And presuming that you get justice in the court. Of course, people don't always get justice in the courts, and that's another reason why they have appellate courts. So, there might be a dodgy decision by someone, like a magistrate, that says you're guilty when you're not, as an example, or they refuse to allow you to speak with relevant words, and that's grounds for appeal. Sorry, I skipped over the story of the US elections as an example of standing. I do have a massive headache at the moment, so it's not helpful. Nope, don't think that's a police officer. They didn't use their blinker. It's alright, police officer in a car speeding along the motorway today. So that was interesting. They didn't have their lights on either. They're probably going about 120. But anyway, so with the US standing case, as a famous example, there were quite a few people that went to sue Obama, claiming that, hey, look, your brother or stepbrother, half-brother, whatever it was, in Kenya said you were born here. Your grandma pointed to the room that she claimed you were born in Kenya. There's some more plainclothes officers. Just aim the camera down a little bit so it's not showing their number plates or whatever, so they can try and claim some kind of thing like I'm interfering with police investigations or try and pin something else on me. Anyway, so with those cases, there was also the case of he released his so-called birth certificate, which was really a certificate of live birth that you could literally download from the White House website, and if you opened it in Paint, which I confirmed by doing myself, you could move the elements around. So, like, you could grab the names and move it over here and whatever. So it was not a scanned document. But the point is that several people tried suing Obama, saying, hey, look, we need proof that you're an American citizen. In line with the US Constitution, you must be a US citizen by birth. Otherwise, you aren't allowed to be president, basically. There were a couple of lawyers that tried doing it, and they were all unsuccessful, obviously, because he didn't have to go to court. But the biggest issue was that of standing. So there's a case, I don't remember if it was Philip Berg or if Berg was a female attorney that was trying to sue him. And basically, when it went to the court, they said, hey, look, you're not affected any more than any other US citizen, so it's just being chucked out, which is just stupid. So this is my last little walk past this particular police station, and then maybe I've got to drop some people off somewhere, and then maybe find another one. There's another police car. Then there's just one officer glaring at me. Looked like he had a few pips on his arm. He might have been an inspector. But anyway, maybe they're even watching. Although it says there's only 2 people watching, and it appears to be Demetra and Belinda, so maybe not. But anyway, so, that's just stupid. Because who would have particular standing to sue Obama if he was a natural-born Kenyan, which would have made him a UK citizen at the time? So Belinda asked, am I doing criminal law yet? So I already have my Juris Doctorate law degree, which covers, of course, criminal law as well. So, I don't have COVID, just got a dry throat. But how do I know? Because I haven't been tested. Oh my gosh. I coughed once in half an hour. But anyway, so when you do a law degree, you have to study what's called the Priestley 11. So there are 11 topics that everyone has to study. I did notice a post by Anita, someone, who was asking, do lawyers even study constitutional law, or is it just like a 1-week course like with nutrition apparently for doctors, according to Anita? But anyone doing law degrees in Australia have to do, and they've had to do it since about maybe 1996 or 1992 or something. There was a committee, and basically they wanted to further professionalise the legal field, so they made it that all new students would have to study these 11 topics. So, I beg your pardon. So the guy in charge of that was, his surname was Priestley, so it's called the Priestley 11, and it's like constitutional law, admin law, which is administrative law, which is often described as constitutional law in practice. It's like, you know, if Billy Bob is trying to apply to be a refugee and he gets knocked back, then what happens then, if that makes sense? Just as one example. Criminal law, torts, which is like civil wrongs. If someone defames you, or falsely imprisons you, or maliciously prosecutes you, as an example, you can sue them. And the contracts, land law, trust and ethics, that may or may not be counted as one subject. What else was there? Well, and I did for electives as well, things like medical law as well, but you can just type in a Priestley 11. But to answer your question, is yes, I have done criminal law. Belinda says she has a case and related to cannabis in New South Wales, and doesn't know what to do next. So when you finish a law degree, you have to do another course on top of it called practical legal training, or there is an alternative that no one really ever does anymore, which is like a 2-year clerkship. But as I said, most people just do a short course, or what's supposed to be short. I should have finished it back in probably June or July last year, and then been sworn in as a lawyer in August. I've finished soon. But you have to do that on top, and then you get sworn in to the local Supreme Court. So for Queensland, you know, it's the Brisbane Supreme Court, or technically it's the Queensland Supreme Court, but it's in Brisbane. If you're in New South Wales, you know, New South Wales Supreme Court, etc. But I haven't done that yet, so I'm not a lawyer at this stage. And even after you do that, for Queensland at least, you have to do a 1.5 years worth of supervised practice, so basically an apprenticeship, because you know you don't want to give people negligent advice, and then obviously at the start of that so-called apprenticeship, you would be supervised a lot more and guided a lot more than when you've done a year and 3 months or whatever. So basically, you know, you'd be doing legal work for a company or for a law firm, often they're partnerships, and then you show your boss, and then your boss goes over it, and they're like, hey, look, you missed this part. Oh, gee, you know, they've changed that law a year ago or whatever, so that people don't get negligent advice. So just have a look. Just to summarise, I can't give legal advice. That's another reason why I call this is not legal advice, or TINLA. basically it would be negligent to give general legal advice anyway, even if you were, you know, a top barrister, and all of a sudden you're just saying, oh, I don't know anything about your case, but what you should do is this and this and this. But what I would suggest Belinda does is go to a lawyer. You can get free legal aid for most or a lot of criminal offences, and, you know, ask them as a suggestion. There are other avenues, of course, involving like constitutional law or whatever, but that's a completely different kettle of fish. There's only about 14 High Court cases involving the Commonwealth Constitution per year, so there's not even much work in it, and there's, you know, a few go-to professionals that are so-called constitutional lawyers, even though everyone has to do the equivalent of a year of constitutional law if you count admin law as 6 months and constitutional law as 6 months, although you could do it simultaneously, but often the law schools don't recommend that. So normally you do constitutional law before admin law, I think, from memory. My battery's about to die. The screen just went dark. Yeah, so Belinda says about you know, getting a lawyer when you can't afford one, so you can try legal aid or a community legal centre. There may be certain areas in New South Wales where they would have more experience with that. A lot of people may have heard of the magistrate, I think his name is David Heilpern, and he had a case where he threw it out that, this is very summarised and I only read about it in a newspaper once, probably 5 years ago, but basically the argument was, hey, look, sure, the person smoked drugs, but with the drug test, it's not known how long ago they smoked it, how affected they are. Based on the test, they might have smoked it 2 weeks ago, and we don't know because, you know, the tests don't even answer that question. Maybe the person smoked it, you know, 4 weeks ago, and it still shows up, but obviously they're not currently affected, and the whole point of the law, another police car, the whole point of the law is to ensure safe driving, that kind of thing. So, you know, it is what it is. But perhaps, you know, if there's community legal centres around Lismore, or maybe there even is one in Nimbin or something, they might well be experts in the field and be able to do that. So New South Wales Legal Aid apparently rejects a lot of people's requests. They do have certain criteria for legal aid, especially as funding dries up. So they have a public interest test, and also basically, you know, there has to be good evidence for that particular case, a good argument, etc. So maybe try looking up community legal centres in and around Nimbin, Lismore I should say, Ballina, Alstonville might have its own community legal centre, casino even. So yeah, so Simon suggests going to a common law group, but, you know, what if they do give you faulty advice and you get in trouble from that? This phone is about to die, so I will leave it now, and then I can charge a phone a little bit in the car when I'm driving to hopefully go to another police station. Otherwise, maybe I'll come back tomorrow and try and see if I can get a fine tomorrow. So I do wish you all well, especially those that have some legal issues at the moment, like Belinda. And please like, share, subscribe. This was TINLA episode 114. And bye. This is the mask I wore for the new viewers, like Simon. So, there's my zombie mask. So I did go past the police station maybe 10 times or something. Hey, someone's pulling up now. No, that's only a learner driver. Thought I was about to get a fine. And, you know, they don't specify what type of mask to wear. So I've got my old zombie mask, and I still didn't get a fine. Walking back and forth with police driving in and out of their station, although it wasn't a very busy period. But anyway, this phone's going to die. So cheerio, bye.